Welcome back to another episode here on the Enneagram at Work podcast. I am your host. We have had a co host the last couple of episodes. It will just be me today. And part of me, we're going to be looking at the derailers of a type 7. As a type 7, I feel like I have a little bit of an insider perspective. At the same time, I'm wondering if I maybe should have brought Brenda back for this one because it might be too close to home and I may not be able to see the derailers as clearly or what it's like on the receiving end of some of these. But we'll do the best that we can today looking at those. I am jumping out of the Ennea Summit that has been, I think, a 4-day virtual summit all about the 27 subtypes or instinctual biases, as we call them here at Enneagram MBA, based on the awareness to action Enneagram approach. And that's been really interesting. We are just catching the final day, and we were down in Dallas getting to work with I think it ended up being a 32-person technology team. And this, their dynamic was a very common one that we're seeing groups bring together people for, where they're predominantly remote and they are a very fast growing organization at this moment. And so they are bringing in new people. I think there was somebody that was joining the workshop that had been there just 2 weeks. And so this is such a great way to get to know your teammates and for them to get to know you. And we've done this with many organizations who are predominantly remote. And a lot of times it's the first time that many of the team members are meeting each other in person. So I think just the opportunity to connect and be in front of one another, hang out with each other face to face is such a gift and so beneficial. And then you add on this additional layer of intentional, disclosure of workplace pet peeves and preferences and potential struggles and also strengths. And that was no different. I think one of the coolest takeaways from this week's Enneagram workshop was the type 3 group shared how important receiving affirmation is to them. And I so appreciated the vulnerability and the openness. And I think that that was a testament to the team culture and the team leadership of that organization, that their team members felt comfortable enough to bring something like that up. Because, I think we all appreciate that, in different ways, but to be willing to say, this means a lot to me, and really for me to do my best work, like I need that recognition. I want to be told, good job. Team members noted that, their leaders, their managers noted that. And so it's those sort of things that become meaningful and useful when people are talking about how do we use this? What do we do with this after today? Those are the sort of little things. And maybe that would have come out at some point, but it just helps tease it out a little sooner. One of those individuals were one of the people that had just joined the team a few weeks ago. And so would their manager, would the team leadership, their teammates have realized how important that verbal recognition, almost more public acknowledgement meant to them? Maybe. How long would that have taken? I have no idea, right? But it was really impactful, I think, for the room, especially had one of the leaders from the group come up and say, I'm going to go talk to those individuals after this workshop and just let them know, hey, thanks for sharing that. And I'm going to do I'm going to do a better job of making sure that I do that. And, it was kind of a wink moment because it was like that is exactly what that group had said. Those type threes said that they wanted was that recognition and that appreciation and recognition. So he was immediately going to do that. So that's always really cool when those things happen so quickly. So we missed the majority of the Enneagram Summit, catching it today, and the Art of Growth team are sharing is sharing their take on the subtypes, which they've come out with a new book called, I'm gonna probably mess up the orders, Hunters, Farmers, Teamers. So they were talking about that approach, and then we are anxiously awaiting Mario Sikора's training on his take on the instinctual biases, which is, like I said, the framework that we follow. So that might be something for anybody else who is Enneagram enthusiasts, Ennea nerds, to check out over on Instagram, Google Ennea Summit, and you'll be able to catch the replay. I think there's a little bit of a fee for that, but it when I looked at it earlier, it was very reasonable. So that might be interesting to you. We will be talking more about those subtypes / instinctual biases, because the more workshops that we do and work with introducing the 9 types, helping people narrow down their type in a workshop, even a full day workshop, it is really difficult to do without, I think it can be difficult anyway. It can just take some, I don't want to say difficult, it can just take some time to reflect and to think about what resonates the most with me, and let me really understand what these words mean and what this type means, and then how do I fit into that. And then when you bring in the instinctual biases, though, that can add some clarity. And so we're looking at some ways on the back end to start introducing that a little bit earlier in the process, so that team members during the workshop have that clarity, whether they book a part 2 or not. So with that, today we are looking at the type 7 derailers, and it looks like we have 2 left after today. We covered type 4 last week, so if you haven't listened to that one, I encourage you to do so. And regardless of your type, because I'll say this for all of them, these are meant for you who resonate with this type, but also meant for you who might be working or leading this type, to be able to understand them, to support them in a more meaningful way. So our type 7s, as a reminder, they are striving to feel excited. Their immediate focus goes to what sounds exciting, fun, stimulating. What's the next adventure in our Enneagram field guides that we share during our workshops? Each of them has a brand or a company logo. For our type 7s, it's the Jeep Go Anywhere. The type 7s programming tells them that it's important to feel good. It's important to avoid negative feelings at all costs. So with that, with that lens of the world, I will also say this is the type that tends to have I'll trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you mentality, versus some of the other types where we've talked about I'll trust you once you give me a reason to trust you. Our type 7s versus the type 6, what might go wrong? Our type 7s tend to think what might go right? What are the possibilities? What is possible? On our type specific Enneagram mugs, that is the slogan that we have put on the back of the mug, what's possible for our 7s. And that can be such a gift, such a strength to any team. And we're going to talk about when those strengths get dialed up, we can get off track as 7s. We have some blind spots at times. And I think I have one in here that I'm going to add to Mario's list. So Our source for these derailers comes from the awareness to action Enneagram framework. And the first derailer is not following through. Sevens have a tendency to start on the next big idea before the current project is finished. And oh my goodness, for me personally, if this is not one of my core struggles, I don't know what else. So anytime I think, oh, I wonder if I'm this other type or this other type, I hate to say it, but when I look at the things that each type struggles with the most, the seven continues to be the things that I struggle with the most. And so this is something I and us, the rest of us sevens, will have to intentionally work on, because it's not that we're flaky. It's not that we, are trying to not finish projects. It's when you think about, like all of these, when you think about the thing that drives you, okay, in this case, striving to feel excited, well, my goodness, it makes sense then that this could be a potential challenge, especially at work for those that identify as a type 7. When we bring the Enneagram to our leadership teams, this is one that we'll talk about where the leader will come in and share an exciting vision with the team, get everybody on board, be able to bring that enthusiasm and that excitement to this vision, dole out responsibilities and tasks, and then they come back the next week or the next month to do an update, and the team leader's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. We got something else. I got something else we're doing. Okay, sure. Okay, everybody, all hands on deck. But after you do that time and time again, it can be really defeating and frustrating for the team, who now feels like their time is being wasted, who has no idea what the priorities are. And so sevens, especially in leadership, it will be very important to really channel some of that 5 and 1 energy with your resource points to make sure that you are following through and changing the narrative that it's not exciting to follow through. Changing the narrative to, when I complete things, I get to move on to the next exciting thing, and I get to bring that first exciting thing to the world. And so that will be some of our work as a 7 to kind of shift the story that we may be telling ourselves. So not following through. Derailer 2 is around being impulsive. While some types have paralysis analysis and can stay stuck, 7s can jump into action without thinking things through. With all of these, today with the 7s and all the other types that we've talked about and we'll talk about, these can be strengths as well. There is, I think, a huge benefit to this, especially in the corporate culture where, especially like an organization that I had the opportunity to work with this week, where it is a fast-paced environment. It is a quickly, rapidly growing team. This energy is needed in an environment like that, especially the startup phase, the forming stage, getting things off the ground. And it's just kind of like, we'll figure it out along the way. And it can be so good. Now, it also, like we're talking about here, can cause some problems. Things can end up taking longer because you didn't think things through, and now you have to go all the way back to the starting line and redo everything. And so not only are you starting later, but now you've wasted all this time. One of the examples that came up in a recent workshop was around how 7s have a tendency to just start building things, just to start jumping into the project without following the directions. And I thought, oh, wow, yep, I resonate with that. And it's not until you realize, oh gosh, this piece doesn't fit, and then you read the directions, but by then you've already put it together wrong and have to unscrew everything, redo it. Whereas you just slowed down a little bit, read through the directions, at least skimmed them, had a little bit more thought into it, then you could have jumped into it and done it possibly more quickly than you would have just with that impulse. So that will be something, again, sometimes this is a wonderful thing to have. Other times it might be an overuse strength. So just being aware of when that's causing you issues. The third derailer is around hyperactivity. So this can be that impatience, that scattered activity that sometimes doesn't have a lot of purpose. You can make others uncomfortable, overwhelmed, confuse other people. Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? I'm just sitting here watching this person kind of, run around in circles, but I'm not sure what is really being done, what strategy, what are we actually working towards. And part of this, again, it makes sense. This might be coming from a place of, I want to avoid boring activities. I want to make sure that I'm involved in exciting ones. I want to be moving. I want to be doing something. And this also can be some similar energy to our other kind of forward focused, let's go far, let's go fast types, which tend to be the 3, the 8s, along with the 7, sometimes the 1, where you just want to get into action, just want to jump into action, just want to be doing things. This will be important for the 7s to look at. Again, this is only if you're having problems. If you're not having any problems, all your relationships are great, everything's going great at work, you're getting great reviews and feedback, do not change anything. But if there are some things you're getting some feedback on, these might be some clues as to what's going on or give you some direction as far as what to work on. And this might be one of those things for us 7s. The fourth derailer is around toxic positivity. So our 7s, one of their foundational themes is avoiding uncomfortable feelings. I want to reframe the negative into a positive, or I want to avoid having the difficult conversation altogether. This can feel really dismissive, though, on the receiving end. From experience, and then from what I hear from others, where you're just told that everything happens for a reason. Everything works out. Don't worry about it. It'll sort itself out. Well, there are things that just suck. And there can be some real growth for a 7 just to sit and listen to somebody vent and nod along and agree, yeah, that's hard. Oh man. Yeah, that stinks. That sucks. That is difficult. That is stressful. You're right. That's hard. And instead of trying to almost make themselves feel more comfortable by reframing it into a positive. I used to have a friend that would say, gosh, I could tell you I ran over a dog. And you would be like, well, that's okay. The owner can get a new dog. It'll be a fun, they'll have fun picking out a new dog. And gosh, right? How dismissive, how, it's hard to have a connection, and it's hard to want to come back to that person. So this type of toxic positivity can really cause people to shut down, to feel unheard. Like if you break a leg, you don't want to hear, well, at least you didn't break 2 legs. Like, no. You in the moment, you don't want to sit and wallow forever, but in the moment, having somebody say, gosh, that is hard, feels so validating. You feel like you can trust this person. You can come back to this person. And so this is important to realize as a teammate. It is also really important to realize as a leader to allow your team to have bad days, to have stressful experiences, and to listen without trying to problem solve or put a positive spin on it. And then the last derailer is around this feeling to be the life of the party. Pressure to bring the energy, feeling like you're expected to always be happy and enthusiastic. And it can feel almost wrong to our 7s to express sadness or stress or difficult emotions. So we feel like it is wrong, and so that's why that that kind of spills over into our response to others who feel it unconsciously, I think, a lot of times. And you may not, I hear from sevens that they don't necessarily want to be the life of the party all the time. They don't have the energy for it. They just are tired of it. They are tired of being seen as that person, but they feel like, well, that's my job. That's my role in this group dynamic. And so if I don't do it, then people are going to think something's wrong. And then I'm going to, have to have the conversation what's wrong. And I don't want to tell them that I'm stressed or I'm going through this at home, or whatever it might be. And so I'll just put on the happy face, be the happy person. And really, there might be some really hard stuff going on under there. And I think this is considered a derailer because at some point with all of these, like if we just don't have some sort of release or outlet to trusted people, right? I always say you don't have to bring your diary to work and be open and vulnerable with every single person. You don't have to be open and vulnerable about every part of your life, but there should be some trusted people that you have at work, one or two people at work, at home, in your friend circle, your family circle, where you're able to, be able to express how sad you are, be able to express how mad you are about something. And I don't know that everybody expects sevens to be the life of the party as much as they think they're expected to be the life of the party. And, they might actually be more connected to people, have better relationships at work if they just kind of leaned into that five, kind of slowing down, being a little bit more thoughtful, being a little bit more wisdom seeking, being a little bit slower to respond, that calm, I think. What type of experience would they have in a group dynamic if they weren't necessarily having to channel the life of the party energy and got to have a meaningful conversation with a coworker about a divorce they're going through, about teenage growing pains with their kiddo at home, and their coworker might say, "Oh my gosh, I went through something similar last year," or "Oh man, I'm going through that right now, and that is hard." And then you have this really meaningful conversation, and you feel that much more connected, rather than always having to ride on the surface of being seen as the fun one and making the jokes and keeping the party alive. Again, this can be such a strength because sometimes the room needs that energy. Sometimes the group needs you to play that role. But I think it's unfair of the rest of us to lean on our sevens for that always too. And so there may be some things to think about as a teammate, how to be a more supportive teammate to our sevens and give them the space and the safety to feel like, hey, they don't have to play this role all the time. So those are the 5 derailers. I thought I was going to tell you another one, but I think we covered it pretty much between all of these. So these are meant to, again, just bring to light some reasoning, some possible causes for issues that might be coming up at work, repeat issues, common challenges. You can kind of look back and pinpoint, oh, okay, here's what might be going on, and then start to think about, okay, what can I do about it? Talk with your manager. Now you have some additional language about what might be going on, because the first part of solving a problem is naming the problem, understand what the heck is even going on. And so hopefully this gives you some additional insight as a 7 or somebody leading or working next to a 7, and then can start to think about how to solve it, how to navigate through it. With that, it looks like we have type 8 coming up next, type 9 after that, and then we'll be looking ahead at another series or some other exciting topics. As always, thank you for being here. We are looking at booking our late summer, fall workshops, really even into 2026. We've talked with several companies who are already starting their 2026 budgeting and planning. So if you are looking to bring some self-awareness, some trust building, communication building tools and conversations to your team or organization, I'm going to invite you to check out our workshop, our individual coaching, our programming opportunities over at Enneagram MBA. And with that, thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next one.